Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation today is Rag Maj, Chaupade Kar Pehla, Mahalla Chotha. Ik Oankar, Satnam, Karta Purkh, Nirpau, Nirvair, Akal Murt, Ajuni, Saibhang, Gurprasad. हर हर नाम मैं हर मन पाया वडभागी हर नाम त्याया गुरपूरे हर नाम सिद्ध पाई को विरला गुरमत चलै जियो मैं हर हर खर्च लिया बन पल्लै मेरा प्राण सखाई सदा नाल चलै गुरपूरे हर नाम दृढ़ाया हर निहचल हर धन पल्लै जियो हर हर सज्जन मेरा प्रीतम राया कोई आण मिलावे मेरे प्राण जिवाया हम रह न सका बिन देखे प्रीतमा मैं नीर वहे वह चलै जियो सतगुरु मित्र मेरा बाल सखाई हम रह न सका बिन देखे मेरे माई हर जियो कृपा करो गुर मेलो Jan Nanak har tan palla jiyo. So with this verse, we've entered a new section of the Guru Granth Sahib titled Rag Maj. And this passage begins with a literary form called a Chaupade, or a four-liner. In contrast to the previous section, Sri Rag, this one begins with a complete rendering of the so-called Mool Mantra as an invocation. Now, we've already done a little interpretation of the Mool Mantra when we began this process. So those of you who are interested in actually reading that, I would guide you to our website, www.coachgurbani.org. That's www.coachgurbani.org. Now, it is believed that the Sri Rag section actually did not commence with a similar invocation. And the traditional belief is that the reason for that is because there were three banis prior, Japji, Sodar and Sohala at least, which were collectively treated as the prelude to Sri Rag. Be that as it may, the traditional explanation of this passage is that Guru Ram Das is responding to a query from Sikhs. And he's been asked about the state of his mind, to which the fourth Nanak is responding. And he says, Har Har Naam main har man paya, vadbhagi har naam te aaya, gur pure har naam siddh pai, ko virla gurmat challe jiyo. Translated, dear to my mind is knowledge of the Har Self. Har is the dissipator of all sorrow, and Har is the invigorator. The fortunate pay attention to the knowledge of the Har Self. The faultless enlightener, Gurpura, has perfected self-knowledge. Gurpure Har Naam Siddh Pai, Siddh, to perfect. And rare are those who follow the doctrine of the Gur enlightened. Ko virla gurmat challe jiyo. The passage then goes on to explain that a perfected self-awareness is a wealth. It is the mainstay, the compass that guides the seeker, the Sikh, in navigating the passage of life. मैं हर हर खर्च लिया बन पल्ले मेरा प्राण सखाई सदा नाल चले गुर पूरे हर नाम दृढ़ाया हर निहचल हर तन पल्ले जियो. Nehchal har tanu palle jiyo. Nehchal means stable, that which cannot be moved. And har tan here, of course, is self-knowledge. So in other words, this is the wealth that comes from the perfected Guru, Gur Pure. which means that coming to the Guru means that the mind is transformed into nehchal, stable, from a vacillating mind. So self-awareness and self-knowledge become the provisions on this journey. Har har kharch lea ban palle. So this is a journey. You need provisions. Self-awareness, self-knowledge is what you need as provisions. And as we have talked, it is the compass that will help you navigate life. Now, the fact is that this all-knowing wisdom, this self-awareness, this self-knowledge is already present within us. And it is described here poetically as the beloved, Pritam, the sovereign, Raya, and friend, Sajan. But we have lost our connection and need guidance on how to revive it. How I wish, the passage says, that someone, koi, could come on and unite me with that wisdom and rejuvenate me. Jivaye, koi aan milave mera pran jivaya. And so it is the true enlightener that we have to turn to, the Satgur, who is the helper and the primal guide, Sakhai, who helps us remain conscious of the self at all times. There are Bal Sakhai, since times immemorial. It has always reminded us and helped us to be conscious of this self and self-knowledge. So in the end, the passage makes a plea to the self, the creator self within, for enabling this guidance. And that can only be enabled through the enlightener. Now, we have to bear in mind that when we talk about the enlightener enabling self-knowledge, we should try not to see these as discrete instances of things happening sequentially or causally. This actually goes beyond that, and we should see this as a continuum, because you will find in Gurbani that ultimately there is no difference between the Satgur, the true enlightener, which is the principle of knowledge, and the knowledge itself. It is really a spectrum, and it's the same spectrum, and that is how we ought to see this, rather than thinking in terms of a sequential series of events that happens. I do A and then B happens. No. If you can get in touch with the Satgur, it'll get you in touch with the self, and it'll arise simultaneously. Sahaj. That's how it works. With those thoughts, until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.